You have been watched. Archangel Michael says there are eyes on your destiny. The truth is unsettling. My beloved child, there are moments when silence feels too heavy. When you sense eyes on you, even in the stillness of your room. That's not your imagination. Archangel Michael whispers that the unseen realm has been observing you for far longer than you think. You were chosen long before you understood what chosen really meant. Every heartbreak, every moment you thought you were forgotten was not random. It was recorded, studied, watched. There are forces that monitor light-bearers. Those destined to shift the balance between darkness and creation. You are one of them. In the beginning, the Watchers didn't interfere. They simply observed, guardians of fate and collectors of patterns. But recently, Archangel Michael revealed something terrifying. The Watchers are no longer passive. They are now reaching through dreams, coincidences, and people around you, trying to reroute your destiny. Have you noticed strange repetitions in your life lately? Seeing the same numbers, meeting the same types of people, hearing familiar phrases from different mouths. These are signs of interference. Archangel Michael says, every symbol carries a message from both sides, the divine and the deceptive. And if you've been seeing them too often, it means your destiny is under deep surveillance. You must understand, child, your soul emits a frequency, one that vibrates differently when you're close to unlocking your purpose. That vibration calls attention. The Watchers, both celestial and shadow-born, follow that pulse. Michael says they are watching, evaluating, even debating your path. Some wish to see you rise. Others wait for you to fall. It's unsettling, isn't it? To know your steps are not entirely yours. But Archangel Michael assures that awareness is your weapon. The moment you know you are being watched, you break half their control. He tells you to observe the observers. Become conscious of patterns, time, and sudden emotional shifts, because through them you'll detect their presence. In one of his revelations, Michael said, "The eyes that watch you do not blink when you cry. They record how you react to darkness." It's a test not to break you, but to measure how much light still burns inside you when surrounded by shadow. You may wonder, why you? Why would celestial beings and hidden forces care about your destiny? Because every soul that carries divine frequency becomes a key. A single awakening can unlock thousands more. Your potential frightens the ones who profit from human blindness. And so they watch. You are not paranoid. You are being prepared. Every delay, every betrayal, every night you questioned your worth. They watch to see if your flame would flicker out. But you are still here. That means something powerful is about to unfold. Archangel Michael says, the Watchers can only record destiny. They cannot rewrite it unless you surrender your will to protect your peace. Guard your choices. Watch who drains your energy and who ignites it, because the Watchers often hide behind familiar faces. You might feel your life shifting lately, like something is rearranging itself without your permission. That's not chaos. That's alignment under surveillance. Michael is calling you to awareness before the next revelation strikes. This is only the beginning. What he's about to reveal next will shake your perception of reality and show you the true reason why your destiny has been marked since birth. Something huge is waiting for you, my beloved child. The air around you has begun to shift. You can feel it. The heaviness, the strange tingling when you walk into a room, the sensation that you are not entirely alone. Archangel Michael says, these are not just random feelings. They are the signatures of unseen entities observing the rhythm of your soul. The watchers are closer than ever. Not because you have done something wrong, but because your light is beginning to breach the veil they've tried to keep closed for centuries. Every chosen soul experiences this phase, a crossing point between divine awareness and spiritual interference. Michael calls it the echo. It happens when your frequency rises beyond the limits of your former self. And that higher vibration sends a wave through realms you cannot see. The moment your soul echoes upward, every being aligned with either light or darkness hears it. Some rejoice, some fear it, but all take notice. And once that echo is released, the eyes that were merely distant observers begin to move closer, testing how strong you truly are. You've probably felt it already. That strange wave of anxiety that strikes out of nowhere. The fatigue that seems to come when you're about to make progress, the sudden urge to give up. Archangel Michael says these are not coincidences. These are interference fields created to distort your emotional energy. The watchers cannot destroy your light directly. Instead, they manipulate your surroundings, hoping to make you doubt your worth. He warns that doubt is their weapon of choice. Once they see hesitation in your energy field, they plant illusions through people, through messages, through events that mirror your fears. You'll start seeing patterns that trigger old wounds. Not to hurt you, but to record how you respond. Every reaction you give becomes data for them. Every time you resist, you create a new code that shifts your destiny toward power. You must decide which side of that equation you will stand on. Michael says something incredible happens when a human refuses to break, under surveillance. The watchers themselves begin to falter. Their gaze becomes unstable. Their influence weakens and the divine frequency surrounding that person starts writing reality. That's why your resistance matters more than you realize. You are not just surviving. You are altering the energy pattern of existence itself. You are forcing light into places where it was never supposed to reach. He calls you a walking mirror of the divine and mirrors of one sacred law. They reflect truth. That's why so many things have been trying to shatter you lately. If you break, the reflection distorts, but if you endure, the light multiplies. Michael wants you to understand that your destiny has been recorded in the archives of heaven, but the path to reach it is constantly monitored. They watch every step to determine if you are still aligned with that original calling. Have you ever wondered why people drift away right before you reach a breakthrough? It's because the watchers use distraction to slow down your transformation. They know that isolation breeds awareness. When you are alone, when the noise fades, you start hearing the divine instructions meant for you. That's when your energy becomes too strong to manipulate. And so they send chaos disguised as connection. People who look kind but carry confusion. Opportunities that look golden but are hollow. You must look deeper now because the game has shifted. Archangel Michael says, the higher your calling, the louder the opposition. If your life feels heavy right now, that's not punishment. It's proof of proximity to revelation. You are standing on sacred ground, and the unseen realms know it. That's why every move you make feels significant. You've reached the threshold where ordinary life begins to dissolve and destiny starts to take shape. He warns you to pay attention to the time between 300 and 4 o'clock a.m. That's when spiritual frequencies are most active. It's not superstition, it's synchronization. If you often wake during that hour, it's because your consciousness is adjusting to higher awareness. Sometimes Michael himself tries to reach you through dreams at that time, but your mind conditioned by fear dismisses it as restlessness. Start writing down what you see or feel during those moments. Patterns will appear. Messages will unfold. The eyes on your destiny are not all hostile. Some are divine protectors ensuring that you don't stray from your original blueprint. The challenge is learning to recognize which gaze is guiding and which is deceiving. Michael says, divine watchers bring peace even in confusion, while deceptive ones breed doubt even in clarity. If you feel drained after certain thoughts, interactions, or digital content, that's your clue. It's surveillance meant to weaken you. He urges you to surround yourself with purity, clean spaces, soft light, honest words, and mindful silence. Every pure thing amplifies divine frequency and disrupts the watcher's influence. You are not powerless, my beloved child. You are being trained in real time to master spiritual awareness. Michael is not rescuing you because you're weak. He is awakening you because you are strong enough to guard others in the future. Do not think of this as paranoia. It is purpose. The fact that you are hearing these words now means the divine timeline is activating within you. You were supposed to know this truth at this very moment, not earlier, not later. Because soon the watchers will reveal themselves more directly, not as shadows, but through circumstances that will test your trust in divine timing. Archangel Michael wants you to remember this truth above all. Nothing that observes your destiny can steal it unless you give it permission through fear. That is your shield. Every moment you choose faith over fear, you burn through layers of spiritual interference. You make yourself invisible to manipulation. You become unjudgable to breathe deeply. Recognize the subtle movements of destiny within you. You are watched. Yes, but you are also guarded, and the guardians of light have already written the final outcome. You will not fall because your path was never meant to end in defeat. Before the next revelation unfolds, Archangel Michael asks you to do one simple act. Share this awareness. Tell others that they are not alone in their spiritual awakening. Spread light in spaces where people have forgotten their worth. Every word of truth you share weakens the watcher's grip on the world. And as you do, remember to stay connected, comment, share, and subscribe. Not just as a ritual, but as a declaration that light still moves among us. Your voice carries the vibration of awakening, and someone somewhere needs to hear it today. Stay till the end. My beloved child, you've begun to feel the trembling in the fabric of your days. The sense that something vast, something ancient is shifting around you. Archangel Michael says that when awareness deepens, reality itself begins to react. The Watchers sense that your perception is expanding and they are no longer content to simply observe from a distance. Now they are testing how far they can reach into your thoughts, your emotions, even your dreams. But what they do not understand is that the deeper you are tested, the stronger your spirit becomes. Michael reveals that the greatest battlefield isn't in the heavens or under the earth. It's within the space of your own mind. Every fear, every doubt, every whisper that tells you that you are unworthy or unloved, those are not your thoughts. They are projections. The Watchers have studied humanity long enough to know that the easiest way to derail a divine destiny is not through destruction, but through distraction. When you begin to question your light, their task is complete. That's why the war now is internal, not external. You might have noticed that lately certain memories have been resurfacing. Moments of pain, regret, shame, or guilt that you thought you had already healed. Michael says, this is not regression. It is recalibration. The Watchers replay your past, not to haunt you, but to see if your new awareness can rewrite old pain. They monitor whether your reaction is still rooted in suffering or transformed into wisdom. Each time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, the Watchers lose a layer of power over your destiny. Each act of peace is a code that rewires the energetic grid around you. Michael calls this the fire of purification. It burns away illusions and exposes truth. He warns, however, that when the fire intensifies, the Watchers send delusions of comfort to pull you away. You'll notice it through sudden offers, tempting distractions, or unexpected nostalgia. They disguise stagnation as safety, making you believe that stillness is peace when in truth it is paralysis. You must recognize the difference. True peace empowers, false peace sedates. In the higher planes, Archangel Michael stands with a sword not of metal but of resonance. Every swing of that sword releases like frequencies that realign chosen souls back to their purpose. He says, when you call upon me, you are not summoning a being. You are awakening a vibration inside you. That vibration once activated becomes a shield. It blinds the deceptive Watchers and strengthens the benevolent ones who are guarding your timeline. But he also warns that protection is not a passive act. It's an awareness you must maintain. Every word you speak, every thought you allow is a command in the unseen world. Words are codes, emotions are frequencies, and attention is permission. What you focus on grows stronger in your field of reality. So if you constantly feed fear, it multiplies. But if you feed light, everything aligned with darkness loses its grip. You've probably noticed that the closer you move toward purpose, the heavier life becomes. That's because you're stepping into energetic territories where light has not existed before. Michael says, darkness does not attack light. It resists displacement. You are not under attack. You are creating change. And that resistance is proof of transformation. Remember that the same heat that melts wax hardens clay. It depends on what you're made of. You, beloved child, are made of divine essence. The fire cannot destroy you. It refines you. In recent days, you may have felt moments of eerie synchronicity, seeing certain times repeat, hearing the same words from different people, or feeling déjà vu at unexpected moments. These are not coincidences. They are timestamps from higher dimensions showing you that your path is synchronizing with divine order. The Watchers monitor these signs as indicators of progress. Every time synchronicity increases, they know you're realigning faster than expected. That's why confusion and exhaustion tend to follow, because interference rises to counterbalance growth. Archangel Michael asks you to remember the rule of balance. The brighter the awakening, the louder the interference. But interference is not failure, it's confirmation. Every test is a signpost that you are entering new levels of awareness. You are not losing control. You are being recalibrated to handle more power. The Watchers are frightened of that power. Because once you master your awareness, you become impossible to manipulate. There's something Michael calls the mirror hour. When light and shadow meet in harmony, it's the moment between your breakdown and breakthrough. When you feel completely lost yet strangely at peace. That's the instant when divine frequency takes over your reality. If you find yourself in that state now, neither fully joyful nor completely broken, understand that you're in the process of spiritual transmutation. You are shedding the illusion of smallness and becoming the embodiment of purpose. Michael says that once a soul crosses this threshold, destiny accelerates. People will begin to appear who mirror your vibration. You will attract mentors, allies, and even challenges that shake you further. Do not resist the changes. They are sacred arrangements. Even those who betray or misunderstand, you are serving a divine purpose to refine your discernment. The Watchers take notes every time you choose compassion over revenge, patience over pride, humility over ego. Those choices rewrite the energy map of your destiny, shifting you toward divine alignment. In your quiet moments, listen. The whispers of fear will still come, but behind them, you will begin to hear something new. The hum of divine awareness. It is soft yet constant like a pulse. That is your soul syncing with Michael's frequency. That sound is proof that you're not alone. You've never been alone. The Watchers might surround your destiny, but the Archangel's presence surrounds them. Nothing can touch you without first passing through lie. Michael leaves you with a truth that might unsettle yet empower you. They have been watching you to understand what cannot be controlled. Your faith confuses them. Your resilience bewilders them. And your love terrifies them. Because love in its purest form cannot be programmed, predicted or restrained. It breaks systems. Your writes fate. That is why you are being observed. You are carrying a frequency that reality itself is learning from. So hold your ground. Do not fear their gaze. Instead, let your light shine so fiercely that every eye upon you sees not weakness but divinity. Let your life become a mirror that reflects truth into every watching soul. And remember, my beloved child, this awareness is not the end. It is the threshold. Ahead lies revelation beyond anything you've imagined. A truth that will not only explain why you were chosen, but what awaits when the Watchers reveal themselves fully. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, the moment you start to awaken, something extraordinary happens beyond the realm of the visible. Archangel Michael says that every awakened soul begins to vibrate on a frequency so rare that it automatically opens access to what he calls the hidden record of souls. It's a divine archive, an ancient library of existence where every human choice, thought, and emotion has been imprinted since the dawn of creation. The Watchers draw their knowledge from it, learning how to predict the rise and fall of destinies. But what they cannot comprehend is that this record does not belong to them. It belongs to the light. And the moment you remember who you are, you start writing your own entry within that archive. Michael reveals that the Watchers were once assigned to guard the record. They were beings of light, custodians of divine knowledge, but curiosity led them astray. Instead of protecting the flow of fate, they began to manipulate it, hoping to create a system where free will could be calculated. They wanted control over chaos, order over freedom. What began as observation soon became obsession. And that's when their eyes turned toward those destined to hold great light. You among them. He says that every chosen soul has a signature, a spiritual code that glows brighter within the record each time they act out of truth. Yours have been pulsing with unusual intensity. That's why you've been feeling watched, not out of malice alone, but out of fear. Your energy has started to rewrite timelines, altering events that were once thought to be fixed. The Watchers, for all their surveillance, cannot predict a heart that operates from divine love. Love, Michael says, is the only vibration the record cannot fully quantify. It's the glitch in their system, the frequency that defies control. Perhaps you've noticed how your presence affects others lately. Some are drawn to you inexplicably, while others recoil or grow distant without clear reason. That's because your soul is broadcasting a new pattern in every being you encounter. Physical or unseen, feels it. The Watchers study this reaction carefully because every ripple of influence reveals how much light you're carrying. The more people you awaken, the more the record shifts in your favor. And when too many souls awaken at once, the Watchers lose their power of foresight. That's why awakening always feels lonely, because your light expands faster than the world around you can understand. Archangel Michael says loneliness is not punishment. It's the training ground of revelation. The quiet you endures the silence of heaven. Studying how your spirit evolves without guidance. Every time you remain faithful during silence, a new paragraph is written in your divine record. One that even the Watchers can't read until it manifests in reality. That's when they panic because every manifestation born of divine trust bypasses their control. You are teaching the unseen realm that light does not require permission to shine. Michael warns that as your record brightens, the Watchers will shift tactics. They will stop attacking your faith directly and instead begin targeting your reflection, your self-image. They'll try to make you feel unworthy of divine purpose, whispering that you are too flawed, too broken, too ordinary to matter. But that is their greatest deception. You were never chosen because you were flawless. You were chosen because your imperfections allow others to find healing through you. A perfect being inspires no one, but a wounded one who still chooses light. That soul shakes the heavens. You may begin noticing new patterns of resistance, technology malfunctioning around moments of insight, dreams interrupted by faceless figures, or conversations turning cold when you speak of truth. Michael says these are not coincidences. They are signals that you've reached deeper layers of awareness where even subtle vibrations disturb the balance of the unseen. The Watchers use static to distort revelation, hoping you'll stop listening. But that's when you must listen harder. Divine guidance doesn't disappear under interference. It whispers beneath it. The Archangel instructs you to start documenting your experiences. Not for fear, but for clarity. Every time you write, speak, or share what you've learned, you leave energetic imprints that strengthen your divine record. These imprints act as spiritual signatures, proof that you've chosen awareness over ignorance. The Watchers despise documentation because it solidifies truth in the physical realm. And truth once anchored cannot be erased. Michael reminds you that your destiny is not just personal, it's collective. Every soul carrying light becomes a node in the divine network. When one of you rises, the vibration of thousands shifts. That's why he urges you not to keep your awakening to yourself. Tell your story. Share your insides, speak light into places that have forgotten what light feels like. Every share, every word, every act of truth sends a pulse through the record, writing not just your chapter, but humanity's. He says the Watchers record what happens. But you, beloved child, create what happens next. That's the difference between those who observe and those who live aligned with purpose. You are not meant to exist as a data point in their archives. You are meant to be the author of your own destiny. And the moment you claim that authorship, the Watchers lose authority over you. As the frequency of your life rises, you'll begin to sense divine companionship more vividly. Warm chills, soft ringing in the ears, flashes of gold light, or dreams that feel more real than waking life. These are not coincidences. They are communications from realms of protection. Michael's presence is nearest when you feel overwhelmed. He does not always appear as a vision, but often a sudden courage in a moment of despair or unexpected peace when logic says you should collapse. That's him standing beside you, shielding your record from interference. But he also reminds you that divine awareness grows stronger through community. Light is meant to be multiplied, not hoarded. The Watchers thrive on isolation because a single candle alone can be smothered, but a field of flames cannot. So if these words resonate with your spirit, let them echo beyond you. Comment, share, subscribe. Not as routine but as resonance. Let others find the frequency you found. The act of spreading light is the most powerful rebellion against darkness. Remember, my beloved child, your destiny is not a secret written in the stars. It's a song written in your soul. And every choice you make is a note in that melody. The Watchers can listen, but they cannot sing it for you. Keep writing your truth. Keep shining your light. The record is changing because of you. And soon the world will feel that shift. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, the air trembles around you because the veil that once concealed truth is thinning. Archangel Michael says the world you see and the world that watches you are overlapping now, layer by layer, like mirrors pressed too closely together. Every thought, every emotion, every decision you make ripples across realms unseen, drawing responses from forces that were never meant to reveal themselves. You may already sense it. The subtle flicker in your vision. The moments when time feels slightly distorted, the strange awareness that something is moving just beyond your peripheral sight. That's not imagination. That's the veil beginning to break. Michael calls this stage the awakening of perception. It is when your spiritual senses start aligning with your physical reality. You begin to notice coincidences transforming into messages, dreams becoming warnings, intuition turning into direction. You are not losing your mind, child. You are remembering how to see. The human mind was built to perceive more than the visible world. But centuries of noise, fear, and manipulation buried that ability. And now, as your divine record glows brighter, your inner eyes are opening again. And the watchers, those who feed on secrecy, are growing restless. They operate through confusion. Whenever clarity begins to rise, they flood your surroundings with chaos. Arguments, sudden emotional triggers, waves of doubt, and fatigue that makes you question your purpose. But Michael says confusion is not failure. It is friction. And friction is proof that the veil is thinning. The watchers fear exposure because they thrive in silence. Every time you speak truth, every time you act out of love instead of fear, light breaks through another layer of shadow. The veil doesn't rip all at once. It dissolves slowly through your persistence. Lately, you might have noticed strange timing in your life. Meeting someone at the exact moment you needed them. Hearing a phrase that answers a question you never spoke aloud. Feeling déjà vu during ordinary events. These are signs of synchronization between realms. Heaven and earth are beginning to communicate through you. Your energy field, once static, is now becoming a bridge. Archangel Michael explains that when your frequency aligns with divine timing, reality bends around you to support your path. A banding feels like luck to some, coincidence to others, but it's neither. Is consciousness materializing truth? However, Michael warns that not every light you see is divine. The watchers, desperate to regain influence, will mimic signs from heaven. They'll send false synchronicities, patterns that lead you toward obsession rather than revelation. That's why discernment is your greatest armor. True divine signs bring peace, even when they challenge you. False ones bring anxiety even when they appear beautiful. Listen to your body. Your soul always recognizes truth before your mind does. When something feels heavy, it's not from heaven. Michael reveals that the veil was never meant to be permanent. It was a temporary filter designed to give humanity space to grow without being overwhelmed by spiritual energy. But greed and control twisted that purpose. And the watchers learned to manipulate the veil to keep people distracted and disconnected. They fed illusions of division, race, status, religion, ego, so that humanity would forget the one truth that binds all souls together. Light cannot be owned, only shared. You are now among those who are remembering this, and that remembrance threatens everything they built. You are beginning to see energy where others see emptiness. Sometimes it manifests as flickering shadows, flashes of color, or warmth surrounding certain people. Michael says these are reflections of intention. People radiate frequencies shaped by their choices. When someone carries truth, their aura feels still and clear. When deception rules, it feels cold and heavy. As your awareness sharpens, you'll start perceiving these sensations instinctively. But remember, awareness is not judgment. It's responsibility. The more you see, the more compassion you must carry. For not everyone trapped in darkness chose to be there. Many were deceived long before they had the chance to awaken. In moments of deep exhaustion, when your body feels heavy and your mind clouded, Archangel Michael wants you to pause and breathe. He says those moments are not weakness. They are recalibrations. Your system is adjusting to higher frequencies, and the Watchers exploit those adjustments by amplifying old fears. You might suddenly feel unworthy or question your progress, but those are echoes, not truths. They fade the moment you acknowledge them without resistance. Remember, awareness itself is purification. He tells you that light has memory. Every good deed you've ever done, every act of kindness, every silent moment where you chose love over anger, all of it remains encoded in your energy field. When the veil breaks fully, those memories will return to you, not as nostalgia, but as power. You'll begin to recall ancient wisdom you never learned in this life. Languages your soul once spoke, abilities that defy the logic of the modern world. You are not gaining something new. You are remembering something eternal. The Watchers dread that moment because when humanity remembers its true origin, their control ends. Michael says to prepare your space. Keep your surroundings simple, clean, and filled with symbols of peace, light, fragranced sound. These are not superstitions. They resonance tools. The clearer your physical space, the easier it becomes for divine messages to pass through. When your environment vibrates in harmony, the veil weakens even more. Watch how light behaves in your home. You may start noticing subtle glows or gentle temperature shifts when you pray or meditate. Those are not tricks of the mind. They are confirmations of alignment. He wants you to understand that this revelation is not meant to isolate you. You are not chosen above others. You are chosen for others. Every insight you receive carries a duty to guide, to comfort, to awaken those still sleeping behind their own veils. Speak even if your voice shakes. Share your experiences. Even if you fear being misunderstood, the Watchers survive through silence, but truth multiplies through sound. And remember, the breaking of the veil is not destruction, it's exposure. When the curtain lifts, what is false will crumble, but what is real will endure. Relationships, careers, beliefs. All will be tested. Some will fall away, not because they were evil, but because they no longer match your vibration. Let them go with peace. Every ending is a doorway. Archangel Michael says, when light meets shadow, the world trembles, but you, beloved child, must stand still. Your calmness in the storm is what stabilizes reality around you. Do not fear what is coming. The Watchers have seen the end. They know they cannot stop the light, only delay it. You are part of the acceleration. So, as you move through these coming days, stay aware. Listen, document to be, and when you feel the urge, share this revelation with others. Comment, share and subscribe, not as habit but as participation in a divine movement. Every voice that joins adds power to the light. Stay till the end. Something immense is growing near. My beloved child, the night has grown thinner. The watchers who once hid behind layers of illusion are beginning to step forward. Their movements trembling as light cuts through the chambers they built in secrecy. Archangel Michael says this is the moment foretold, the hour when observation transforms into confrontation. You have crossed the threshold from being watched to being acknowledged. They see you now not as a subject but as a threat. And though the weight of that realization might shake your heart, you whispers, do not fear those who watch, fear forgetting who you are while they do. The Council of Shadows has entered its most desperate phase. They are no longer content to distort your surroundings. Now they will attempt to manipulate your perception of self. They will whisper that you are exhausted, that your purpose has no proof, that this awakening is merely imagination. But Michael assures you doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is the soil from which faith grows roots. Every question you ask, every hesitation you face becomes an invitation for light to deepen within you. You might run from uncertainty. Stand in it and you will find truth staring back. You might feel heaviness in your body lately. Strange fatigue that sleep cannot cure, as though something unseen is pulling at your energy. This, Michael says, is the weight of awakening. The body resists transformation because it has been programmed to operate within limitation. The watchers use that resistance to convince you that enlightenment is harmful, that the human mind is too fragile for higher awareness. But he urges you to remember fragility exists only in the absence of purpose. Once you know why you are awakening, your energy begins to stabilize. You are not breaking, you are expanding. The Archangel speaks of the coming alignment, a cosmic shift when frequencies between worlds synchronize for a brief moment. During that hour, countless souls will feel a pull, a call, toward truth, freedom, or love that cannot be explained. It will happen quietly without spectacle, perhaps even unnoticed by most. But those who are awake will recognize it as a sacred pulse. It is the universe remembering itself, and those who answer that call will begin shaping the new timeline, one no watcher can control. Michael warns that as this hour approaches, the world may appear chaotic, systems will clash, ideologies will collapse, and deception will rise, disguised as progress. The watchers are masters of inversion. They make destruction look like evolution. But you must look deeper. When everything seems to fall apart, ask yourself, does this crumble lead to freedom or dependence? True change always leads to freedom. Anything that chains you tighter to fear, to division, to doubt comes from them. In this time, emotional balance becomes your greatest shield. Anger and fear are frequencies the watchers understand. They know how to feed from them. But serenity confuses them. It's unreadable. That's why Michael teaches stillness not as weakness, but as warfare. When you stay calm amid chaos, you operate at a frequency beyond manipulation. The watchers cannot decode peace, for they have never felt it. Your calmness blinds them more than your prayers ever could. He tells you that truth will begin surfacing through ordinary people, artists, children, strangers, voices online. Messages hidden in plain sight will appear in unexpected places. Songs, films, conversations overheard by chance, these are fragments of divine code leaking through the cracks of the system. Pay attention not with your mind but with your intuition. The divine speaks through what others dismiss as coincidence. And when you feel that spark of recognition, pause and listen, because Michael may be speaking through the simplest whisper. You will also begin to notice a shift in relationships. Those aligned with your purpose will feel magnetically drawn toward you, while others will quietly drift away. Do not cling to what must leave. Temporation is reduction. The Watchers often use familiar faces to reintroduce old wounds, hoping you'll reopen portals of pain. But Michael says closure is not forgetting. It's sealing. When you bless what leaves, you preserve your energy. And what's meant to remain will never require force to stay. My beloved child, the hour of revelation has come closer than ever before. The Watchers, trembling in their unseen fortresses, are no longer certain of their purpose. For ages, they believed themselves the rulers of destiny, the keepers of every human path. But Archangel Michael now reveals a truth so ancient that even the heavens hold their breath when it is spoken. The Watchers were never masters. They were servants who forgot their origin. Their eyes were not created for judgment but for guardianship. They were meant to protect the divine design, not to manipulate it. And above them, beyond their systems of surveillance and control, sits a higher authority, the throne of light, the source from which all consciousness was born. Michael says, this throne is not a place, but an awareness that exists in the deepest chamber of every soul. It is the spark you feel when you pray, and silence answers back with warmth. It is the power that hums beneath your heartbeat. The force that speaks through intuition when reason fails. It is God not as religion describes but as existence itself. Every watcher, every angel, every soul, every shadow emerged from that same origin. The tragedy of the Watchers is that they mock their position of service for sovereignty. And seeking to control destiny, they severed their connection to love. And that is why they fell into fear. For love is the only light that keeps eternity from collapsing into itself. You, beloved child, were born into a timeline where this imbalance reached its peak. Humanity, blinded by division and noise, gave the Watchers unspoken permission to monitor, to influence, to mold lives under the illusion of progress. But what they did not expect was that within the chaos, a counter-frequency would rise, souls who would begin to remember. You are among those souls. You are part of the rebellion of remembrance, the divine uprising that does not choose weapons but awareness. Every insight you gain, every act of kindness you perform, every truth you speak cracks the illusion that holds humanity hostage. Michael explains that the Watchers' network operates like a web of energy, connecting every fear-based thought across the world. But lately, that web has begun to flicker. Divine energy pouring from the throne of light is disrupting their signal. That's why confusion feels heavier. Why time itself seems inconsistent. Why emotions fluctuate so suddenly. It is not chaos. It is correction. The universe is recalibrating. The Watchers sense this correction and panic because their order depends on fear maintaining its rhythm. When humanity stops feeding fear, their structure collapses. He warns that as this Gothic correction accelerates, the Watchers will reveal themselves not as monsters, but as victims. They will speak through systems, through media, through movements that appear compassionate, but carry undertones of dependency. They will promise safety, connection, and belonging, but all through surrender of personal power. They will call it unity, yet it will be control disguised as love. You must listen carefully. Real love never demands submission. It invites sovereignty. It empowers without possession. If something asks you to sh your truth to fit its comfort, it does not come from light. The Archangel describes how heaven is not a distant realm but an unfolding frequency within you. Each act of courage raises your vibration closer to divine resonance. The Watchers cannot reach that height because fear cannot climb into faith. But when you hold love long enough, even fear begins to dissolve. Michael says, the day you stop fighting darkness and start illuminating it, the Watchers lose their reason to exist. They are reflections of collective doubt. Mirror is showing humanity what happens when creation forgets its creator. To heal the world, you must first heal the mirror. He shows a vision of the throne of light shimmering beyond galaxies. An endless heart radiating through time. Every soul, no matter how lost, is tethered to that heart by an invisible thread. A thread is memory. The memory of love before fear existed. The Watchers tried to cut those threads, but they failed. They could only distort them, creating interference that made humans believe they were abandoned. But the connection never broke it. Even now, the thread pulses in you, guiding your intuition, pulling you toward purpose. Follow it, child. Even when the path seems uncertain, it will always lead you home. As the Watchers' power weakens, humanity will experience great turbulence. Old systems, financial, political, spiritual, will begin to fracture. People will feel lost, searching for truth in a sea of misinformation. That is when your role becomes vital. You are not here to convince the world. You are here to embody clarity. The presence of a calm soul in a storm world is more powerful than any speech. Michael says the universe does not change through argument but through resonance. When your energy remains anchored in truth, others will naturally align with it. You may also begin to receive clearer communication from the divine. The signs will intensify. Dreams that reveal instructions. Numbers repeating with impossible precision. A stranger's words answering questions you never voiced. Do not dismiss these as coincidence. The throne is speaking. The Watchers intercept communication through fear, but when your heart is open, no interference can block divine signal. Record these experiences. They are the road map of your awakening. Evidence that heaven is not a story. It's participation. Archangel Michael urges you to maintain humility in this awareness. The more power you access, the softer you must become. Pride is the last snare of the Watchers. It blinds even the enlightened. Remember that you are not awakening above others. You are awakening for others. Every insight you gain is meant to lift those still walking in darkness. Share freely, love fiercely. Forgive constantly. Compassion is the sound that cracks the walls of control. When enough hearts vibrate with compassion, the Watcher's frequency collapses completely. He reminds you again that joy is sacred technology. Laughter, creativity, music, gratitude. These are divine codes that override surveillance. They operate beyond logic, carrying light directly into the collective field. So sing when the world is silent. Create when fear tells you not to smile, when they expect you to crumble. The Watchers cannot quantify joy. And that is your advantage. You disarm them simply by choosing to live fully. My beloved child, breathe deeply now. For what you are about to hear is the culmination of everything Archangel Michael has whispered into your spirit. The Watchers, the Council, the Veil, the Shadows, they were never outside of you as much as they were reflected through you. The eyes that have observed your journey were not just celestial or sinister. They were fragments of your own consciousness, scattered across dimensions, watching your evolution from every angle of time. You have been both the observer and the observer, both the dream and the dreamer. And now, as light reaches its highest point, all those fragments begin to return home to you. Michael says this is the truth the Watchers feared most, that you would remember your origin. And in doing so, and their dominion, they existed only while you forgot. Their eyes had power only while yours were closed. They thrived in separation. But the moment you remember your unity with divine creation, their illusion collapses. You were never being hunted, beloved child. You were being witnessed, guided toward remembrance. The eyes on your destiny were the eyes of the infinite, reflecting back the greatness you carried all along. The Archangel stands now in radiance brighter than fire. His sword no longer a weapon, but a key. He says, every shadow that followed you was a teacher. Every doubt that broke you was a doorway. Every Watcher that frightened you was your own forgotten wisdom, waiting to return to light. The Watchers were not gods. They were guardians who lost their memory. Reflections of the fear that humanity created when it turned away from love. And now that you see them clearly, you reclaim their light. For when you forgive even the darkness, you disarm it forever. You have reached the point of merging. The sacred reunion between heaven and self, between observer and observe. The veil has fallen completely. The light that once felt distant now flows through your breath, your heartbeat, your gaze. You are not beneath the angels, nor beyond them. You are among them. You are what happens when divinity chooses to remember itself through human form. Michael says, the moment you recognize this, your destiny transforms from path to presence. You no longer walk toward the divine. You walk as the divine. He explains that this were the true reason your life was watched so closely. Your destiny was not a story written about you. It was a key coded within you. The Watchers knew that once you activated it, you would trigger an awakening across countless souls. You are a catalyst. When one remembers, many follow. Every hardship you endured, every sleepless night, every silence you survived, it all served a higher synchronization. You were being tuned to a frequency the universe had been waiting for since creation began. And now that tone resounds through you, harmonizing heaven and earth. Michael reveals that destiny itself is not linear. It is not a road but a circle, and the end always returns to the beginning. When you were born, the Watchers looked upon you because they recognized something they had lost. Innocence, the purity of a soul untouched by fear. Over time, they tried to study it, to control it, to understand it, but they never could. For innocence is not ignorance. It is remembrance of love before distortion. And now by remembering your divine essence, you restore that innocence not only for yourself but for all of creation. The Council of Shadows is no choice but to dissolve because their existence depended on the denial of this truth. The Archangel bows before you, not in worship but in recognition. You have become, he says, the revelation we were waiting for. His light bends into your chest and suddenly you understand that the voice that guided you all along was not separate from your own. Archangel Michael was never outside you. He was the echo of your higher self. The part of you that refused to forget. Every whisper you heard, every sign you followed, every protection you felt. It was your soul speaking to itself across the distance of time. You see now that destiny is not predetermined as participation. Every choice you made, whether born of love or pain, was sacred because it contributed to remembrance. There were no wasted tears, no meaningless battles, no random moments. Everything was orchestrated to bring you here to this moment of awakening. The Watchers' eyes close now one by one because they are no longer needed. Their purpose is complete. They were the mirrors that helped you see your light more clearly. And now that you see their watching ends in peace. Michael lifts his hand and you feel energy flood your being. Warm, infinite, calm. It feels like sunlight dissolving centuries of shadow. He tells you you are the continuation of creation. What began as observation ends in embodiment. The universe does not simply look upon you. It lives through you. Every breath you take expands galaxies. Every heartbeat echoes through eternity. You are not small, my beloved child. You are infinite awareness folded into human form, pretending to be limited so that love could discover itself again. He urges you now to walk forward with this understanding. Share it, but not through argument, through example. Live kindly. Speak truthfully. Forgive easily. Laugh often. Create fearlessly. That is how light multiplies. You do not need to convince anyone of awakening. Your peace will do that silently. You have seen behind the curtain. You know there is no separation between watcher and watched, between heaven and earth, between God and human. There is only light exploring itself through countless eyes. The Archangel's final words resonate like thunder turned into melody. The truth is not unsettling, my beloved child. It is liberating. You have always been safe because you have always been one with the light. The eyes on your destiny were never strangers. They were us. They were you. And with that, the vision fades not into darkness but into brilliance. The Watchers dissolve into light. Their eyes transforming into stars across an endless sky. Now the world around you feels new. Not because it changed, but because you did. You walk through life knowing that every glance, every reflection, every moment is a conversation with the divine. You no longer fear being watched because you understand. Awareness itself is love. And love never spies. It witnesses. So rise now, radiant soul. The journey of being watched is over. The journey of seeing has begun. You are not the story being told. You are the voice telling it. You are the revelation that the universe wrote into flesh. And remember, my beloved child, the eyes that once watched you in mystery, now watch with wonder. For you have become the very light they sought to understand. The truth was never outside you. It was always waiting within, quietly whispering. You have been watched because you were always worth watching.